Hey guys, Stephen here, and we're back to another Roblox tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're gonna set up some stuff in our workspace, and it's mostly the best practices in development so that you would not be able to, or you would have a clean workspace and stuffs would be easier to find. So let's get on to it. So when we're developing, it's always kind of easier to like part, duplicate it, duplicate it, and then put the trees there, put the cars there, something along those lines, and then everything is a mess. Now, here's some stuff you can do for best practices. Let's say you have some models. We're gonna just use parts because these aren't really actual models. So we're gonna put in some parts right here. Let's just change this to corner wedge and one more, which is a cylinder. So we kind of have five parts here that would kind of represent each and every model that you'll have, and you see all of them are parts. So first and foremost, best practices in developing is always name your parts. So not not entirely just parts, your models if it came from Blender, always rename it. So let's name this ball. Let's name this corner wedge or corner, just corner or wedge and cylinder. Always rename those because whenever you're lost, it would be easier to, let's say, imagine you have tons of model and you don't know where they are. Say that's far. You want to click that part right there, but it's named part. So all you'll do is just you're gonna scroll in that corner. You're gonna scroll. Imagine if you have a large map, and then you'll look for that part. You're gonna look for that specific part. Wherein, if you rename your parts, you'll specifically know what that part is. Let's say you want a block, and I know this is a block, and I can just press my F key, and then I'll be right there. Imagine the time you could save up on trying to find just a single piece of part, wherein if you have the best practice of naming the part, it would be a lot easier to navigate. So let's say you have multiple blocks. Let's imagine that these are blocks, and let's say the other blocks are on the other corner. How would you know that that other part is the certain block? So before you do that, always remember that you can always create a folder for it. Oops. Create a folder, group as folder, and then you could say that this is the left block, and then the other parts are the right block. Now, what's the difference of this? So you see that they are still the same blocks. They are not models. I can click them separately, but I would know which is which because I have it on a folder with a name. So it's gonna be a lot easier if you have the best practice of doing folders when you're managing your workspace or when you're developing your game, because it'll be easier to navigate, like what we did earlier on trying to find a certain block, and you don't know which block it is because you have certain, or a much more similar scenario is you're trying to locate specific tree, or a specific tree, sorry, and you're not sure which one to click. So if you already have them separated on segments, it's gonna be way easier to find it on these segments than trying to find them as a whole segment. I hope you do get that point on that one. And then that's also a scenario on the parts wherein you can simply navigate through your map easier. So on our dev side, if we develop a large map, we always put an invisible quadrant, or an invisible part on every quadrant. Let's say we would have quadrant 1 here, quadrant 2 here, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. And this is not visible and not touchable by players, and we simply just try to click on that to be easier to navigate to the visuals, to be easier to check on the codes which are not working, so forth and so on. So those stuffs are or this is one of the biggest and best practices you can start with if you're starting in Roblox, because best practices will lead to tons of shorten work, especially if you don't really it's kind of annoying if you want to go through the map and you're sorting it out, of course, unless if you're trying to look for bugs. But it's going to be a lot easier if you just press your F key and go wherever you want in your map. It's going to be a lot easier, trust me. So I hope you learned something in this video, and I'll catch you on another video. Bye bye.